Hello everyone, Darren here, and on today's episode of WotC Academy, we're going to look at how to play the Tier 10 American Premium Medium Tank, the T95E6. This is a medium tank from the Valor op, and this is a tank, in my opinion, is the second best reward vehicle from the op itself. I would say that the T95E6 is pretty much a less armored, but more mobile version of the T110E5. So, let's take a look at how to play the T95E6. Starting off with the armor of the E6 is pretty decent for a medium tank at tier 10. The heavily sloped upper glacis plate and decently strong turret armor will mean that you'll be able to bounce hastily or auto-aimed shots with a good degree of reliability. But the moment an enemy begins to aim at your cupola or lower plate, your armor will pretty much mean nothing. So try not to expose those weak points for too long if you can afford to. As usual, the sides, top, and rear of the tanker are also weak points and very susceptible to HE or artillery. On to the mobility of the E6, it's actually very good. Forward speed is 56.3 kilometers per hour and reverse speed is 20 kilometers per hour. This means you'll be able to get where you need to go and reverse out of danger very quickly. Now the engine has a 15% chance of fire, so I would recommend running a fire extinguisher, but of course if you have the necessary firefighting skills equipped, you can use food instead of a fire extinguisher if you wish to do so. As for the gun, it is a 120mm gun, and the accuracy and aim time are both doable, with accuracy being at 0.38 and aim time being at 2.3. Reload time is actually better than the T110E5 at 8.3 seconds base reload, and the gun elevation and depression angles are 20 degrees and 9 degrees respectively, which is also better than the E5. This means that you should be able to fight on ridge lines and hills relatively comfortably and more effectively than an E5, but that argument itself is a little bit debatable because of the massive cupola. Now, how do you set up the T95E6? In terms of consumables, I run 22 AP, 14 heat, and 0 HE because of the lack of ammunition that I personally am used to dealing with. For consumables, I run a repair kit, a first aid kit, and a fire extinguisher because we all know I have horrible luck with artillery. Now, for equipment, I personally use a gun rammer, vertical stabilizers, and vents because I want to increase the performance of the gun. Of course, you could swap vents for optics if you value vision over gun handling. Now, how do you play the T95E6? Well, because I see this as being more of a mobile version of the E5, I tend to play it more as a support medium. I have found that by playing in groups of other mobile, medium, or heavy tanks works best as I'm able to keep up with them and be able to provide that extra oomph that the 120mm gun that the E6 can provide compared to the 105mm guns of most other mediums. You do need to be careful fighting on ridgelines though, as the cupola isn't as armored as the one on the E5. So it's better to wait till the enemy's attention is directed elsewhere before you peek up, or you just let the enemy come to you and crest the ridgeline, exposing their weak points trying to get to you. Now that concludes the overview of the T95E6. Let's take a look at some gameplay. So here we are on Live Oaks. It's a standard battle and I'm in the south spawn. Now before I get started, I really would like to mention that this gameplay was taken about like the second or third day after the tanks and the op were released. I had the tank on loan so I could showcase it on stream, get an idea for it, and and I happened to get a very good game in it, and I just want to give you a heads up that probably the requirements for the Mastery Badge are much higher than what they were at the time that I got this. But already you saw that I looked at the lineup for each team. I had an idea where I wanted to go. I was going to make use of the gun depression. I figured that I really was not going to be able to perform well in the city, so I was going to make use of the gun depression, and I was going to go to where I felt suited the tank better. Already you can see that there are some medium tanks along with me. There are some people coming south. I was a little hesitant at first whether or not I really wanted to commit to this, because you kind of see just by looking at the mini-map that it did not look like we were going to get any support at all, and if we did, it wasn't going to be much. So I'm holding back just a little bit, because I didn't want to roll up there and find out that there's 4 tanks with me. But seeing that the light tank pushed up, only spotted the M60, and that the other people with me were pushing as well, I wasn't going to hang back. So I roll up to the slope, and that is where pretty much everything else becomes spotted. You kind of see right now that I am able to block some shots with reliability, but again, these are pretty much auto-aimed or hastily aimed shots. They're not really aiming at weak points yet. Pretty much just nothing. It's just basic hill fighting, ridgeline fighting right now. There was a little bit of some hiccups in recording when I recorded this with the capture card, so I apologize for that little hiccup there. But you can kind of see that the .38 accuracy is working, but not really working. I'm still able to hit most of the tanks that I'm aiming at, but it doesn't really hit where I'm aiming at. That just kind of comes with the .38, hence why I focus improving the gun performance over vision. Got hit in the side there, so the side armor, like I said, is pretty weak. You're gonna get overmatched if the angle is right. Not wanting to leave my teammates in the dust, I decided that I was going to rush in there, hence why I ended up taking the damage, and I wanted to support them just in case some of the enemy team decided to push in to support the Conqueror. Now, I pushed right here because I knew that what was going to happen on this slope was that if I was over there where that other medium tank is by the bridge, if I was up there where he was at, they would be shooting at my cupola all the time. This game wouldn't have even been what it was if I was over there. So I decided to come all the way over to the far side of this portion of land here. I want to call it a peninsula, because I figured that all the attention was going to be focused on the medium tank there by the bridge. So by coming around and getting on their flank there, their attention would be drawn elsewhere. And so I'd be able to safely peek up over the ridge line, take the shots I need, and duck down before they can acquire me in their reticle. Now you're seeing here, like I said, the accuracy is okay. I will hit the tank. I may not hit where I'm aiming at. It just comes with that .38, and I cannot reiterate, this is why I focused on putting vents on the tank instead of optics. But so far right now, game's going pretty alright. Normally, this would have been an okay game for me. Pretty much 3K combined. But seeing as how there's still a good amount of tanks left here, I get a little bit aggressive here, seeing as we won this entire flank really quickly. And I was eager to go and support my team in the city because it looked like they were going to get overrun. So I duck over I rush over the tracks, and I get down onto the swamp side of the hill of the north spawn. And I'm trying to push up to get right in the face of these medium tanks in order to try and get some spot assist, but also just get in their face, catch them off guard, and make it easier for me to actually hit their weak points without having to take that chance of, the distance there with hitting the tank but not hitting the weak points. Tracked the UDES right there. Unfortunately, he was not really in a good position to get a whole lot of assisted damage, but luckily a tank repositioned in order to take out the UDES there. See, I hastily aimed a shot in on that T95E6 and my round bounced. So again, hastily aimed shots on the tank, for the most part, you probably will bounce. but you know, don't rely on your armor on this tank at all. So again, we completely secured the southern railroad tracks and pretty much their base. We could have capped them out now if we wanted to. That's how deep or how secure we were. We had their base. So pushing up here to the E100 here, I had a teammate that was with me. You saw he got eliminated there, and that's why I was aggressive. I was figuring that it would be a 2-on-1. We'd be able to handle this relatively well, and unfortunately not. So realizing that my teammate got taken out, I had to rush in there because he was just going to shoot at my cupola and everything. I tracked him, hoping that some of my teammates would rush in, and I was just at that point, I was just kind of knocking up track assist damage there because I was keeping him tracked. He must have, I don't know what he was focusing on there at that time there. He kind of just gave up. And now I'm just kind of reaping in the damage. At this point, I didn't really care much about my health. The game was already very good for me, and I still had a good amount that I could trade and take a shot. But as you can see, the team steamrolled on the southern flank, and I got a very good game because of it. And as you can see, this result here, I have over 7k combined damage on this game, thus earning me the mastery badge, again, 3 days after the op started, and the requirements for this could have changed. But again, a very, very good game in the T95E6. But that's going to conclude today's video on how to play the T95E6. I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this one, don't forget to subscribe. But until next time, this has been Darren of Watch the Academy.